everybody, Mike McIntyre here, back from All Things Sports, bringing you a brand new video. I'm super pumped that you're here because today's video is very exciting. Today's video is something special. I've recently collaborated with my local bike shop, Cycle Paul, to develop this sort of partnership where I can bring you some new reviews on some new bikes. So this right here is a 2023 Trek Checkpoint SL7. It is available at Cycle Paul. Be sure to check out that first link down below in the description if you'd like to check out their website. If you're in the area, they are a fantastic place to go check out brand new bikes, get a fit, and find whatever it is that you're looking for in the world of cycling. So this is a huge shout out to them. Thank you for collaborating with me. I hope that we can put together some really cool videos, and today we're going to start with the first video in these brand new reviews that we're going to do together, the Trek Checkpoint SL7. Now, in this video, I'm going to go over the bike. I'll tell you all the components and specs about this particular model. I'll tell you a little bit about who I think this bike is designed for and what kind of riding it's purposed for, if you will, and that will be today's video. So, the Trek Checkpoint SL7 is new for 2023. We had this same frame last year, so it hasn't really changed, but this is a 2023 model, and they redesigned it recently to be a little bit more of a gravel-friendly geometry and just become a very, very versatile bike. This bike is designed for someone who wants to do a little bit of everything. I'm personally very interested in this model. I'd actually love to build a Trek Checkpoint SL7, and the reason being is I think that this bike can do a little bit of everything rather than focusing on one particular element. So in Trek's road lineup, if you will, they have 4 different bike families. They have the DeMani, the Trekpoint, the Amanda, and the Madone. Now, all of them do kind of cross over a little bit into the other family. So the key takeaway here is understanding what kind of riding you want to do. That's the most important part. You need to understand what kind of riding you want to do, and you need to understand how much of each type of riding you're going to do. So because the Checkpoint and the DeMani can kind of blur the line a little bit, and now the DeMani even blurs the line with the Amanda a little bit, you just really need to know how much of each type of riding you're going to do. If you're solely riding road and you want to go fast, it makes it a little bit easier. If you're in a hilly area and you want to climb, again, it makes it a little bit easier. But if you are going to blur the lines a little bit, the Trek DeMani is something that can do a little bit of everything. And now this Checkpoint is on that other end of the DeMani that can do a little bit of everything as well if you have the right setup for it. But I think this bike just checks so many boxes, and I want to go over it with you today. So this one is the Checkpoint, the SL7 model. So this one comes with SRAM Force. Now SRAM recently released a new version of SRAM Force. So the one you see here is the previous generation of SRAM Force. It's 12-speed hydraulic disc, and I'll go over all the components of the frame, the bike, and everything that it comes with, and that will be today's video review. So, Checkpoint SL7, we have a new carbon frame made from Trek's OCLV 500 series carbon. This is their mid-grade carbon, if you will, because they do make a top-of-the-line SLR. The SLR frame is just a little bit different. You have a slightly different seat post and seat clamp design here, if you will. You have a few less mounts on the front fork particularly, and it really is designed for that gravel racer in mind, and you do pay a little bit of a premium for that. It has really wide tire clearance. This one ships with 40mm tires with tubeless. These are the Trek or the Bontrager, their in-house brand. They're GR1 team issue tires in a 40mm width with the sealant already set up. So they are already set up tubeless, and the nice thing about the SL7 is it does come with carbon wheels. These are the Bontrager Aeolus Pro 3V wheels. They are a really wide internal rim width. So they have a 25mm wide internal rim width. They sit at, I think, 32mm wide on the external rim width, and I believe they're 37mm deep. I could be wrong about that, but I believe they're 37mm deep. Again, that's the tire setup. This particular model does ship with SRAM Force, as I mentioned. So SRAM Force, this is the previous generation. 12-speed in the rear, 2 speeds in the front, because you get a 2x crankset on the SL7. You get a carbon fiber seat post as well on the SL7, and this is their Bontrager Verse Comp saddle. I'm a little bit familiar with this because this is the same one, or it's very similar at least to the one that shipped on my DeMani AL3. I've since swapped that out. You get a new geometry on the Checkpoint, so that's something that I just wanted to go over. You can check out all the geometry charts on Trek's website to find out exactly how the geometry stacks up to perhaps other models or a bike you're familiar with. 99 Spokes is a great website for comparing geometries, but on this frame set, they've lengthened the top tube and shortened the stem. So they really do give you quite a long wheelbase on the Trek Checkpoint. Again, that's designed to give you a very smooth and just really nice ride overall, a little bit more of a, like I said, a smooth ride, and it'll slow down the handling ever so slightly. It can be fast, it can be stable, it can be very smooth, so they did lengthen that geometry, and part of the reason they did that is because of the lengthened top tube. So we do have a longer top tube on this generation of the Trek Checkpoint, and they compensate for the reach by giving you a shorter stem. So you have a shorter stem here with a longer top tube. Again, this is supposed to be a more progressive gravel type geometry. Again, I think it's something that you can do a little bit of everything with. Not quite as quick perhaps as an out-and-out race bike, obviously. That's not what it's designed to do. But again, because of the chunky tires and the versatility that this bike has, I've seen people throw on road tires in a 32 or even a 28. Maybe you have 2 sets of wheels or something like that. This bike is very, very capable on the road, and I think it does a little bit of everything very well rather than one specific thing extremely well, if you understand where I'm coming from. It comes with an aluminum handlebar on this one. This is a Bontrager in-house brand handlebar. This one on the 54 centimeter frame comes in a 42 millimeter width at the hood, 42 centimeter width at the hood, excuse me, with a 12 or 13 degree flare in the drops. You do have quite a deep drop here. It's a little bit more of a classic shape as opposed to some of these compact handlebars that we see more and more frequently on today's drop bar bikes. Again, the shifters, they're SRAM force. And SRAM, you're going to shift up on the right side, you're going to shift down on the left side, and you're going to switch the front chainring by pushing both buttons at the same time. So you have your SRAM force shifters up here. Now this is an area where they actually did a big change on the new generation. On the new generation SRAM force, the shifters are a little bit more similar to the rival shifters. So this part was quite chunky. The top of the hood here was always quite chunky, and a lot of reviews say that they found it almost too big. They've actually shrunk the size a little bit of the SRAM rival shifter, so you see that new shape, better ergonomics on the new version of SRAM Force. And you have hydraulic disc brakes on this one. So on this bike you get 160 millimeter rotors on both the front and the rear, hydraulic disc brakes, really super smooth, and SRAM Force is 100% wireless group set, so there are no wires running through the bike at all. The only 2 cables that you have are the hydraulic hoses from both shifters going to the brake calipers. So you have a battery here on the front derailleur and a battery here on the rear derailleur. The chain set on this one, you get a very, well, by road standards, it's a little bit smaller. SRAMs are always a little bit smaller than Shimano's, but this ships with a 4330 chain set. So the large ring is 43 tooth, the small ring is a 30 tooth, and you get a 10 to 36, I believe, rear cassette over here. So you do have plenty of options, a very, very low gear for those tough climbs off-road, and again, you have a gear that's supposed to be very, very usable on road. 43 tooth in the front with that 10 tooth in the back should be enough for most people, even when they're riding on the road. The only scenario I can imagine that being a little bit too small is probably if you're going on a, really quickly down a descent. But again, that's not what this bike is designed for. So just keep that in mind when you're looking at this bike in particular. There's a lot to like about this bike. The other thing on the frame is there are a ton of mounts. The frame is absolutely covered in mounts. You have support in the rear here for a pannier rack if you want. You can obviously clamp on a saddlebag. You have different mounts here down the down tube to accompany water bottle cages or bags or anything like that. You have this armor plate underneath the down tube to help deflect any kind of rocks or gravel or anything like that. And there's also another mount under there if you want to put a small bag or even a third water bottle cage, whatever tips your fancy. You have a bento box mount here on the top tube if you'd like to use that. And you also have a few hidden mounts underneath the top tube here, and Trek designs their own new line of bags to be compatible with this bike. And the bags are even sized accordingly depending on the frame size that you get. So inside here, this is really cool too. You get this on the KODOMOi as well, but you can actually remove the the down tube compartment here with a little latch on it. There's a space for a multi-tool, and inside you get the Bontrager bits bag, which you can house all of your puncture repair kits and a little snack if you want or anything like that. But it's a really cool place to house some of those little materials that you're going to need on a ride should you get a flat or just a puncture repair kit or anything like that. So that's a really cool feature that I like for, again, even if you're commuting or doing any kind of off-road riding or even road riding. It's really a nice compartment to have. And It's a very capable bike that can do a little bit of everything really well, rather than a bike that can do one thing extremely well. And that's what I like about this bike, just the versatility that it offers. You know, I'm imagining, I said it before, using it in off-road situations, on-road situations, commuting situations. I love the fact that you have all these mounts on it. I'd like to do a few longer rides potentially in the future. So this is a bike I would imagine using on those longer rides, being a little bit more comfortable, the geometry favoring that little bit of a slower ride, but a little bit more of a comfortable ride as well. So that's my review of the Trek Checkpoint SL7. This is a bike I particularly would love to own someday. Huge fan of it. I want to send a shout out to Cycle Paul once again for allowing me to do the video review, bringing you guys this Trek Checkpoint right here. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below. I always get an answer out to you. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you hit the like button, hit the bell notification, and please check out that first link down below in the description for Cycle Paul's website. If you need anything and you're in the area, please give them a visit. They have everything that you need. The service is fantastic, and they have a really, really nice setup over there. So thank you to Cycle Paul for allowing me to do the video. Make sure you guys hit the subscribe button, because there's going to be more videos coming in collaboration with Cycle Paul. So Mike McIntyre, All Things Sports, signing off for now. That's the review of the Trek Checkpoint, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Till then, take care. Peace.